And this is Robbie Leonard, D-line coach, Las Vegas Raiders. We talk all the time. He'll call me. I don't know. It's nothing important, but I didn't need to talk to you. It's like, we're going to be so damn good next year. I just can't.
What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to this channel and you would like to support the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Also, hit that bell so you're notified every time I drop brand new content. And if you would like to, you can now become a member to this channel. And one last thing, please like this video so we can get at least to 200 likes. Well, Raider Nation, as you guys might have heard, Maxx Crosby, the host of The Rush podcast, he had an episode that just aired this week, and it was recorded during the Pro Bowl, and he had a lot of the Raider players on there. He had a lot of the defensive linemen. He had Matthew Butler, John Jenkins, Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, and he also had the defensive line coach, Rob Leonard, and they said some interesting things. Rob Leonard, the defensive line coach, said we're going to be so much better next year. He also said that the Raiders have one of the best defensive line groups in the whole NFL. And like I've been saying all offseason, Raider Nation, our defensive line is going to be a force to be reckoned with. We just added Christian Wilkins, and this was recorded before we added Christian Wilkins. So for the defensive line coach to think that highly of our defense speaks volumes, not to mention that we hadn't even added Christian Wilkins yet. He said that the defensive line is the group that gets this whole team going. Maxx Crosby pointed out a lot of interesting things. One thing he said was that prior to Coach Rob Leonard being there, that there was no continuity on that defensive line, that the players were all about themselves, and in comes Coach Rob Leonard, and that whole defensive line just took off. He said that he's a player's coach, and he really lets these guys be themselves. He said now that he's the coach, that when the players were on break, when they weren't practicing but they were at the facility, they would go hang out in the defensive line group, in their office. And something that I love to hear is that this defensive line group is what really gets the whole defense as a whole going. He said when you see all these big boys rushing after the quarterback, when you see them all running after the ball carrier, it really sparks something in the whole defense. It really gets guys going like Marcus Epps, Robert Spillane, the whole DB group. When they see big boy Malcolm Kuntz, big boy John Jenkins, or Matthew Butler running after that running back, that they all get possessed and they all get that fire lit under them and they all want to go after that guy. So like I've been saying all offseason, Raider Nation, I believe that this Raiders defense is a top 10 defense. Shoot, I even think we're a top 5 defense now by adding Christian Wilkins. There are plenty of players out there in free agency still left that the Raiders could go and get. You know, Xavier Howard is still out there. Stephon Gilmore is still out there. If you guys haven't seen my last video, go check it out. I express reasons why the Raiders should absolutely go after a veteran like Stephon Gilmore. Like I said, Raider Nation, this defensive line group really is the motor to our defense. They're the ones that get things going. And as of the last 9 weeks, Malcolm Kuntz and Maxx Crosby were the best 2 defensive end group duo in the whole league. They accounted for the most pressures after the quarterback in the last 9 weeks of the season. Now, what a coincidence. Coach Antonio Pierce took over the last 9 weeks. Could that be, a correlation? I would like to think so. Now, a lot of people don't like to give Antonio Pierce any credit for this defense improving, but shoot, I would like to say hell no. Come on now. Antonio Pierce has a lot to do why this defense just took off in the second half of the season. Like I said in my prior videos, guys, Josh McDaniels had his hands wrapped around Patrick Graham and the playbook, and he was telling Patrick Graham what to run. He was micromanaging that side of the ball, and you just can't do that. When you hire coaches, you got to let them do their job, and that's exactly what Antonio Pierce was doing. Don't get me wrong, he was in the meetings, he was giving his input, but at the end of the day, he was letting Coach Patrick Graham and these guys do their job. And look at the results we got. We became the team with the second most sacks, the team with the least points per game allowed. Also, we were top 4 in takeaways, and we had the most takeaways for that led to touchdowns. So like I said, Raider Nation, ever since Antonio Pierce took over as the head coach, our defense took off as a whole. Give this guy a whole offseason to bring in his own guys, to bring in his style of players, and this team is going to do even better things next year. Like I said, all offseason, he is a player's coach, and players around the league are noticing that. Players around the league want to play for Coach Antonio Pierce. Like I've been saying all along, no one wants to play for a coach like Josh McDaniels. They want to play for a coach that looks like him, a coach that has played in the league, that knows what it takes to be a player. Like I've been saying all offseason, when Josh McDaniels was the head coach, players were walking on eggshells at the headquarters. Not anymore. Antonio Pierce lets these guys be themselves. He lets them express how they feel, and he even lets them give input on the defense. Just look at that game against the Vikings when it was 0-0. He galvanized the whole team, and he had Maxx Crosby speak up. Granted, we lost that game. We didn't score any points, but nevertheless, and Coach Antonio Pierce has really made an impact since joining this team. I can't wait to see what he brings next year and for the years to come, because you know damn right our defense is going to be a hell of a lot better. Like I've been saying all off season, give this man a whole off season to bring up his players, to bring his type of players, his style of football. He's already been changing the culture. You know, who knows where we're headed to next year, but one thing's for sure, we are going to be a top 5 defense. You could bet your ass on that. You know, I can't wait to see what Tyree Wilson can do for this team. You know, he was really adamant about the fact that he was coming off of an injury last year. You know, the Raiders kept him from going to OTAs. He only played 12 snaps in the preseason, and week 1 against the Denver Broncos, he was a starter, and he said he was overwhelmed. Now he's starting to get his feet under him. He's fully healthy, and you saw the progression from week 1 to week 18, how much better he got. Towards the end of the year, he finished the season with 3 sacks, but he was getting after the quarterback. He was getting a lot of pressures. He just never was able to get the sacks, but I know for a fact he's going to be a hell of a lot better next year. And I noticed that they were playing him in the 3 technique. They were placing him alongside Maxx Crosby, and they were both rushing for the same side. Now, can you imagine that with Christian Wilkins, Malcolm Koonce, Maxx Crosby, and Tyree, all 4 rushing after Patrick Mahomes? We're not going to need to bring extra pressure in blitzing linebackers. That's going to be enough pressure in itself. If you decide to double team Malcolm Koonce, or whether it be Tyree or Christian or even Max, one of those guys are going to have a one-on-one, and you bet your ass they're going to get free and get to the quarterback. Like I've been saying all offseason, Raider Nation, we have one of the better defensive line groups in the league. By adding Christian Wilkins, we just might have the best D-line group when healthy. You know, it used to be the Niners, but the Niners got rid of plenty of guys on that defensive line. They got rid of Chase Young. They got rid of Eric Armstead and Clelin Ferrell. So I would like to think that our defensive line group is better than the San Francisco 49ers. It's an argument that we possibly could be the best D-line group in the league. You know, but one thing's for sure, we have to produce. All this talking, all this stuff we're doing is just putting a target on our back. But I know our Raiders are going to be able to answer the bell. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about Malcolm Koonce, Maxx Crosby, and Coach Rob Leonard saying that we are the best D-line group in the league. And until next time, Raider Nation, peace.